Email deliverability, platforms to avoid spam in 2025. Why deliverability is the make or break variable for Outbound in 2025. If you're running B2B Outbound in 2025, the spam folder is often a bigger threat than any competitor. Global inbox placement in 2024 was about 83.5%, which means roughly 1 in 6 emails never had a chance to convert because they didn't reach the inbox. When your sequence doesn't show up, your copy, offer, and follow-up discipline stop mattering. The environment is hostile because mailbox providers are defending users from overwhelming abuse. Around 46 to 47% of global email traffic is classified as spam or unwanted. In 2025 alone, estimates put spam volume at roughly 162.7 billion spam emails per day. So providers are incentivized to filter aggressively and ask questions later. Cold outreach isn't bad, but it's evaluated with the same suspicious lens as everything else in the stream. For sales leaders, the implication is simple. Deliverability is now a go-to-market lever, not a technical afterthought. Whether you run outbound internally or through a B2B sales agency or SDR agency, platform choices and configuration determine how much of your pipeline even gets the opportunity to exist. At SalesHive, we treat inbox placement like revenue infrastructure because it directly controls meeting volume. What Gmail, Yahoo, and Microsoft actually reward and punish, mailbox providers have moved from keyword-based filtering to reputation systems that combine authentication, engagement, and complaint signals. The harsh reality is that a meaningful portion of messages never land where you think they do. One 2025 analysis estimates about 10.5% of emails go to spam folders and another 6.4% effectively disappear. That hidden loss creates phantom underperformance, where teams keep rewriting sequences when the real issue is inbox placement. Complaint rate is now one of the clearest red lines. Gmail guidance is to keep spam complaint rates below 0.10% and avoid ever reaching 0.30%, which is a shockingly small margin when you're emailing unqualified lists or sending from new domains. At typical SDR volumes, a handful of report spam clicks can be enough to start junking future sends, even if the content is polite and relevant. Providers also look at whether recipients behave like they wanted the email. Opens, replies, and low bounce rates are strong signals, while deletes without reading and complaints are damaging. This is why deliverability and targeting are inseparable. If your list quality is poor, the algorithms assume your intent is poor. It's also why a modern outbound sales agency should be as serious about data hygiene as it is about copywriting. Choosing platforms, the stack that keeps you out of spam. A deliverability-first outbound stack has 3 layers. A business mailbox provider, typically Google Workspace or Microsoft 365. A sending orchestration layer, your sales engagement platform or ESP, and monitoring, postmaster tools, DMARC reporting, seed testing, and inbox placement checks. The most common failure mode we see is teams optimizing the middle layer, the tool, while ignoring the foundation, authentication, and reputation. You can't tool your way out of weak domain trust. Platform choice matters most when it changes how consistently you can authenticate, throttle volume, and separate risk. In practice, we recommend standardizing on a proven business mailbox provider and avoiding bargain senders, shared infrastructures, and anything that encourages blasting from one primary domain. If you're hiring SDRs or building an outsourced sales team, you want an environment where process is enforceable. Consistent DNS control, consistent inbox provisioning, and consistent sending policies. Use this quick comparison to sanity check your setup before you scale outreach, especially if you're working with a cold email agency or running sales outsourcing across multiple client brands. Authentication and alignment. SPF, DKIM, and DMARC are the price of admission. In 2025, authentication isn't a best practice. It's a baseline requirement for reliable inboxing. Gmail and Yahoo tightened expectations in 2024, and Microsoft began enforcing strict SPF, DKIM, DMARC checks for high-volume Outlook senders in 2025, with non-compliance leading to junking or outright rejection. If your outbound motion touches multiple tools, CRM, marketing automation, sales engagement, each sender must be authorized correctly in DNS or you'll create silent failures. DMARC is still massively under-adopted, which creates an unfair advantage for teams that do the basics well. Only about 18.2% of the top 10 million domains have valid DMARC records, and just 7.6% enforce them. Yet authenticated B2B senders have been observed as 2.7 times more likely to reach the inbox. If you want low-hanging pipeline, this is it. Correct records, correct alignment, and consistent enforcement across every sending domain and subdomain. The mistake we see most often is partial setup that looks right in a checklist but fails alignment in real traffic. Your from domain needs to align with SPF and/or DKIM, and DMARC policy needs to reflect how you actually send, not how you wish you sent. When we onboard clients at SalesHive, we treat DNS as part of the outbound engine because a single misaligned record can undermine an entire quarter's worth of sequencing. Deliverability isn't an email problem, it's a revenue problem because you can't convert prospects who never see you. Sending behavior. How to protect reputation while still booking meetings. Once authentication is correct, behavior becomes the deciding factor. Complaint thresholds are unforgiving. Staying below 0.10% and never hitting 0.30% means you have to earn the right to scale through relevance, not volume. That requires conservative ramp-up, consistent daily sending patterns, and per-inbox caps that prevent sudden spikes. Engagement is your safety margin, and personalization is one of the few levers that improves engagement without increasing risk. Benchmarks put cold email open rates around 27.7% on average, and broader B2B open rates often sit in the 20 to 36% range, depending on list quality and consent. Personalized subject lines can lift opens by up to 50%, which typically translates to more replies and fewer spam reactions because the email feels intended for the recipient. A practical approach is to treat your outbound like a product. Define an ideal customer profile, validate data before sending, then iterate messaging based on real-world response patterns. This is also where pairing email with cold calling services can stabilize pipeline. When email deliverability is volatile, a coordinated outbound sales agency motion that includes calling reduces dependence on any single channel. We've found that multi-channel execution is often the fastest route to consistent meeting volume without forcing reckless send volumes. Deliverability killers to avoid, even if a tool promises fast results. The biggest deliverability damage rarely comes from one bad email. It comes from systems that create bad signals at scale. Cheap shared sending infrastructure, questionable warm-up networks, and over-aggressive automations can concentrate negative engagement and complaints in ways that are hard to reverse. When nearly half of global email is spam, providers don't give benefit of the doubt to patterns that resemble spam operations, even if your intent is legitimate B2B outreach. Data quality is the other silent destroyer. If you're not verifying addresses and suppressing risky contacts, bounces climb, engagement drops, and you burn trust faster than you can rebuild it. Remember that roughly 10.5% of emails may land in spam and another 6.4% may vanish. If you stack deliverability loss on top of bounces, your sent volume can be dramatically higher than your seen volume. A common mistake inside sales teams and SDR agencies is measuring success with only open rate or emails sent, then pushing more volume when results lag. That approach compounds the issue by driving more low-quality impressions, more complaints, and more filtering. Whether you outsource sales or run an in-house SDR team, the win is disciplined distribution. Fewer messages, better targeting, cleaner data, and consistent inbox health across domains. Monitoring and optimization, your weekly deliverability operating system. Deliverability improves when you can see it, so instrumentation is not optional. At minimum, you want Gmail Postmaster visibility, provider-specific bounce, error tracking, and DMARC reporting so you know which sources are sending on your behalf. When something breaks, like an SPF flattening issue or a new tool not being authorized, fast detection is the difference between a small blip and a multi-week domain recovery. Optimization should focus on leading indicators, not just lagging outcomes. Complaint rates, bounce rates, reply rates, and time to first positive reply are often more actionable than opens, especially as privacy changes make opens less reliable. If you're operating pay-per-meeting lead generation or scaling an outsourced B2B sales motion, these health metrics help you expand volume without crossing thresholds that trigger filtering. This is also where process beats heroics. A repeatable cadence, review inbox placement trends, audit DNS.user, rotate underperforming copy, and refresh data sources keeps you stable through provider changes. At SalesHive, we treat this as part of the outbound engine we run for clients because deliverability is not set and forget. It's ongoing reputation management. What to do next? A deliverability-first rollout for 2025 teams. Start by fixing the foundation before you scale sequences. Ensure every sending domain has SPF, DKIM, and DMARC configured and aligned, and confirm your sending tools are authorized correctly in DNS. If you're planning higher volumes, assume stricter enforcement, especially as Microsoft continues tightening requirements for high-volume senders in 2025, and build compliance into your rollout plan. Then, operationalize restraint, ramp volume gradually, cap per inbox sending, and keep list quality high through verification and ongoing suppression. Your goal is to keep complaints under 0.10% while building enough positive engagement that providers treat your domains as trustworthy. When personalization is done well, relevant context, specific subject lines, and clear opt-outs, you get the upside of higher opens, often up to 50% lifts without tripping spam signals. Finally, treat Outbound as multi-channel revenue production, not an email-only experiment. Pairing deliverability-safe cold email with cold calling services and disciplined follow-up creates resilience when inboxing fluctuates, which is why many teams choose sales outsourcing or an outbound sales agency model to enforce consistency. Since 2016, we've built SalesHive to combine list building, email infrastructure, and SDR execution into one system, so our clients can scale meetings without sacrificing domain health.